What's up and welcome back to my channel. So today we are going to continue the discussion about the censorship, about Facebook, about Twitter, about Google. Why do you ask that I'm spending so much time talking about this stuff? And I'll tell you why. Because I am being personally impacted by it, as is hundreds of other people, okay, who are right-wing conservative type people, including the president of the United States. Yes, the president, not Joe Biden, the actual president of the United States. Okay. So I'm talking about this again because the CEOs of Twitter, Google, and Facebook are going to be headed back in front of the Senate Judiciary hearing again to testify in front of them regarding their involvement in censorship of the or the bias of handling election info that has been going on around social media. Now, if you have been following the hearings like I have, I literally sit through every single one of them. I think recently there has been at least three. They're about 3 to 4 hours a piece, and I sit through every single one of them. Some of them I even watch a second or third time, because there's just so much information to gather from these hearings that I find I need to listen to them quite a few times to understand really what's going on and what their policies are. Like I said, because it affects me personally. So I have to understand the policies and the reasoning behind the censorship to be able to understand how to fight it. Okay? So in short, I'm not sure exactly what this latest hearing is going to be specifically about, other than they're biased around the election info, but more so, what is it going to accomplish? That's what a lot of people are asking, is what are these hearings accomplishing? So I want to explain that a little bit, because I think a lot of people look at this and they say, okay, well, these guys come in front of Congress, or in front of Senate, and they get questioned and they get grilled and they answer the questions, and then what? Well, what this is basically a method of laying out some historical data as far as questioning, as far as how they're answering the questions, what they're stating they do versus what they actually do, so that it can be used when it does go to a higher court of law as evidence. Okay, so that's why these hearings are so very important, and it is crucial that these guys are truthful when they're answering these questions. Now, if you have been watching them, you know that a lot of the times they defer to their quote unquote policies, and when they're asked specific questions, like for instance, can you give us an example of when you censored somebody on the left? They magically can't really come up with any data, and they have to, obviously come back to the committee with that information. Now, I hope that when they come back this next time, that some of the questions that they were asked that they couldn't answer in the previous hearing are answered in this hearing, because there were a lot of very critical questions in my mind that I felt like they just kind of let them slide away with a very general statement of, I don't really know the exact answers, I don't really recall, blah, blah, blah. Jack Dorsey from Twitter is famous for that. Now, let me just say this, okay? This is aside from the whole topic of conversation, but Jack Dorsey, if you're watching this, can you please get a shave, take a bath? Like, you literally look like you just came off Castaway Island. Okay, I'm just gonna say that. I'm just gonna leave it there. Now, back to the discussion. So, as you guys know, I did a video on Candace Owens taking the Facebook fact checkers to court, which has a little bit to do with this, because she posted something in regards to COVID-19 that was fact checked that impacted her business. But in relation to this specific topic of election handling and how these platforms have been handling election info, Trump himself recently tweeted, and I know he does this to get under people's skin, okay, but in my mind, his statement is not that too far off from the truth. But he recently tweeted himself on his own Twitter platform quote unquote, I won the election. Okay. So this just sets people like, like they just lose their minds when he does stuff like this. I personally don't appreciate when he does stuff like this. Like, not all the time. Okay. Sometimes it's needed because like the left does it all the time. But sometimes I'm just like, you know what? Can we just stay silent for a second and like move in silence and then hit them like with the real facts when the time is right? Because I just feel like right now is like such a crazy time that little jabs like this just don't do anything to improve the situation, if that makes sense. But at any rate, I digress. Okay. Twitter immediately flagged his tweet stating, quote, official sources called this election differently. Okay. So that is something that a lot of us have probably seen if you are on the right and you're posting anything about the election or anything about President Trump, you immediately get flagged with the official sources called this election differently. Or if you go to share something from somebody else's page, it'll say, before you post, please note, please take a look at the election results, get informed about the election results. So my question is this, who are these official sources? Okay. Because it says official sources called this election differently. So who are these official sources? The media, the 3 and 4 letter networks, are those the official sources that Twitter and Facebook are referring to when they make this statement? Because I just want to make a reminder, okay? The media does not call the elections. And I've said this several times. You see this all over online if it doesn't get deleted or flagged. But the media does not make the official call on presidential elections. They never, ever have. Now, when I say they don't make the call, I mean, they're free to say whatever they want to say. That's how the media works, okay? They're free. That's the beauty of this country, is you're free to say whatever you want to say, but they're not the official statement on the election. That final statement, let me remind all of you, falls on the Electoral College and Congress on December the 14th when they all convene together to officially vote on that, okay? So, I just want people to understand that. Now, I'm going to put a little side note in here, and I did post this on my Instagram, on my social media, and it did get flagged for not being factual information, although it is, okay? Congress officially issued a letter stating, and I'll put it up here so you guys can see and pause the screen so you can read it, but basically officially stating that there is no official winner of the election just yet because there's far too many states being contested. Now, that is the whole reason why, okay, on the night that we do the election, that the results are kind of like soft results, but they're not official results, because between that night and December 14th, the time is for states to be contested, recounts to be done if that needs to be done. So they have now officially made a statement that there is no official declared winner, okay? But you won't see that shared on social media. Now, I guarantee you, if it was the other way around, okay, and it was the left contesting whether Trump was the true winner, you better believe they would be sharing an official letter from Congress stating that there is no official winner in a heartbeat, okay? Like, that wouldn't even be a question, okay? So I just wanted to mention that. Now, this article that I was reading about this next upcoming hearing, they're also going to be talking about the Stop the Steal groups that were being formed on Facebook and Twitter. Now, this is around the whole, election fraud results and all this other stuff. So these Stop the Steal groups, or hashtag Stop the Steal groups, were being kind of formed to put together efforts to protest. We saw a big march in Washington, D.C. Just recently last weekend. And that was part of the Stop the Steal groups. And Facebook and Twitter have put an enormous amount of effort into hiding these groups and hiding these hashtags so people could not find them. So you have to ask yourself, why do they want to hide these groups so bad? Like, what is so dangerous about your right as an American citizen to organize and protest, especially peacefully, which these particular marches and protests were peaceful, okay? Aside from the Antifa and Black Lives Matter people that showed up at the event and caused some havoc in the evening hours of the event in Washington in particular, okay? You have to ask yourself, why are they wanting to put a stop to that? Especially since it's not violent. They're not calling for violence. Nowhere in the Stop the Steal hashtags that I have seen has it said, this is a call for violence, we're gonna destroy businesses, we're gonna kill people until we get what we want. That's not what it was about. It was a peaceful protest, and that's exactly what happened. It was full of, good people, no violence, no destruction, okay? Not from the side of that organized the protest. Maybe from the other side a little bit, but even then, that was not as bad as it has been with other groups that Facebook and Twitter, allow to organize hashtags around, like Antifa and Black Lives Matter, where they have caused destruction in numerous cities across the United States. There have been hundreds and thousands of people injured in these protests. There have been hundreds of people killed in these protests. There have been thousands of businesses destroyed in these protests, okay? But you still see these hashtags living large on social media, okay? And if you don't believe me on that, okay, I want to give you another homework assignment. Go on to Instagram or Twitter and search up hashtags like Kill Trump or I Hate Trump or Not My President. You will find so many profiles, hashtags still out there, still thriving with no problem, okay? But you go and try to find a hashtag that says, I hate Kamala, kill Joe Biden, or if you look up Obama's still my president, okay, that stuff doesn't get fact checked. I actually went on there and I actually tried to share like an opposite point of view post, okay, that was negative and derogatory in nature, and not one flag got put on it at all, okay? So that just goes to show you, if you don't believe what I'm saying, if you think that what I'm saying is not factual, go try it for yourself. Go look up how many accounts in the name have kill Trump or I hate Trump or kill Republicans or kill conservatives or kill Candace Owens or whatever. Okay, there's tons and tons of groups, and Twitter doesn't take those down, even though they claim their policy is strictly enforced when it comes to hate speech and violence. Okay, so I want to call them out on that, and I want you guys to go and look for yourself because it is complete and utter bullshit. Okay, but you go onto these, left-wing media news sources or talk shows, and all they can talk about is how they're the party of love and acceptance and peace. And, they just want the best for our nation. And, we just need to move on with a peaceful election and blah, 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 blah. But they're full of shit. Okay, they're full of shit. They want destruction. They want anarchy. They don't want what they say they want, okay? Because their actions tell you differently. So another thing I want to point out, and I only have this information because I went and looked for myself, okay? So if you want to go and do this footwork, you can go and do this. And this is just like, I searched probably for a period of 30 minutes, and this is the numbers that I came up with. But I went to like Joe Biden's Twitter, for instance, and saw that there, from what I could see, were 0 posts that had any type of warning label that showed they were being censored in some way slapped on them. 0 on Joe Biden, okay? I went to Trump's Twitter page and I counted a total of 76 posts that he had made that had a censorship label or a warning label on them. So you're telling me that Joe Biden never, ever, ever posts anything that is untrue? Never, ever, ever. Okay, I'll just leave that there. So here is the question. Are we on the side of freedom of information, or are we on the side of censorship and the demise of our freedom of speech. Which side are you on? The other thing you have to think about is there is a Section 230, act that protects social media platforms from litigation when anybody on their platform posts something that could potentially cause somebody to want to sue a Facebook or a Twitter or a Google. That's what Section 230 exists for. So if it exists, why are these platforms so concerned with taking the censorship into their own hands and silencing us? We should have the right to believe and say what we want to say within reason. I mean, I agree. We don't need to have harmful, hateful speech that calls for violence or killing or anything like that, But we have a right to believe and say what we want to say. And if that cannot be done, then we need to get rid of these social platforms and go back to the basics of life, which is God, family, and verbal communication. How about that? You guys let me know what you think in the comments box below. Do you agree with me on the things that I've said? Are you watching? Are you paying attention to these Senate hearings with the Facebook, Google, and Twitter CEOs? And what do you hope to come of it? Are you sick of the censorship? Are you sick of the lies that you see on social media? I know a lot of people are moving over to platforms like Parler, where there is a lot less censorship. Also, Wimkin is another platform that is up and coming. Let me know what you guys think in the comments box below. Don't forget to like this video. Don't forget to share this video. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. And I thank you so much. Bye-bye.